know, one time I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
One time, as someone who's been involved with sales training for a long time, this is like my nightmare. Okay, so I go. This was before. This was the last job I ever had. Was working with a company that sold a software to clinics, and I set up this meeting with a massage school, and it would have been a nice big account if we had landed it. So one of the owners, great guy, I love this guy, but he is just like, he's just not a business dude, right? Like, so we go into the office. So first of all, I go and I'm in like my suit and tie and, I'm like, okay. And he comes and he's like this just hippie guy who's like, like he's like wearing this like sweater that's like 2 sizes too large and, this type of thing. So we're sitting here having the meeting, and in front of the meeting, he's doing this. Oh, and he's just stretching away, and he's yawning, and he's like, oh yeah, and blah blah blah, this, and I'm just like, what is going on here? Anyways, I love the dude, but we didn't land the account. Let's just say that. Anyways, welcome to the Akashic Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. I see some folks are starting to join us. We appreciate you so much. Hey, you can stretch it out a bit, stretch it out a bit, stretch it out a bit. It's raining here, so I find that when it's raining, I definitely feel like the pressure more on my body. So I like to. And today, oh, by the way, today is the International Day of Yoga. So yoga is, I think it was 2013. That date could be wrong. 172 countries of the UN unanimously, however you say that word, voted for, you can put that in our dictionary, unanimously voted that today would be the International Day of Yoga. It's a beautiful thing because yoga, as many of you know, I'm a yogi. And yoga is not, as some people think, it belongs to a certain type of people or a certain, like, you got to be Indian or, you have to wear Lululemon or some kind of thing like this. I have my issue with Lululemon yoga.
Lululemon yoga? Come on, Nick.
I have one Lululemon jacket and I got it as a gift. So I do have a Lululemon jacket. It's a very nice jacket. I have to be honest, a very nice jacket. But anyways, so today's the International Day of Yoga. And one of the beauties about yoga, I find, is that yoga really helps me with any anger that comes up in my life, especially if I'm feeling any kind of angst or anger or anything like that. The tools of yoga can really help transform anger and release that energy within the body. I think it's a beautiful form. Obviously, I'm biased to it, but it's really been beneficial for me in my life. And I know that's beneficial for literally billions of people. It's estimated that 2 billion people right now do some form of yoga, whether it's an asana practice, they're involved with kirtans, with mantras, with mudras, with something. 2 billion people. Of course, we want 7 billion people practicing yoga. And I think it's one of the ways to transform anger. Personally, I am a little biased, but we're definitely going to be talking about how do we transform anger, the root of anger, and what are the benefits or non-benefits, of anger. We're just going to be exploring the idea of anger, this emotion that many of us feel. And we're going to be talking about transforming it in the globe. Now, before we jump into that, thank you guys so much for pressing play. I want to introduce you guys to Ms. Emily Harrison. Ms. Emily Harrison. You want me to say it?
Nancy, I do.
Okay, I'm going to be introducing you to this lady of leisure, Miss Emily Harrison, who is the founder and director here at the Akashic Academy. Emily is certifying light workers all over the world to read the Akashic Records. She is just a friend of mine, first and foremost, a business partner, someone that we have a lot of fun together, and we've been able to keep our anger somewhat subdued with each other most of the time. So, Evelyn,
we've only had a couple of blow up fights, and
I wouldn't even call them blow up. Like I wouldn't even. I'd say that we've had some disagreements.
Yes.
That which is natural. First of all, for me, the idea that you're going to have a long-term relationship with someone, whether that is a marital relationship or friendship or business partner or whatever, if you're going to have a long-term relationship with anybody and you expect that 100% of the time you're going to agree and you're going to see everything the same way, I think that's a false expectation. So I think we're doing pretty good.
I think we're doing good too. And you fight differently than I fight because you've actually transmuted more of your anger than I have. And
that's
so,
true.
And I do. Like
How do I fight? I'm curious.
Well, you don't fight.
It's
you
true.
don't fight. Your ego will come up and get in the way sometimes, but you don't fight usually.
For sure.
No. And for me, like I've learned so much about just showing up in relationships in general. Because we come at a very high level. Because you come at that very high level, you hold the space for me to work even more high level. And I think in relationships, I tend to be very communicative, and I could use more compassion. Lots of us could do that. But you hold a powerful space for me to experience, like, what does it mean to come up against your own attachments? We talked before we started the show that anger really is about attachments and you being attached to the way that you think things should be, or the way it's going to play out for you, or I'll speak for myself, for me personally. And there are so many programs we run about how you have to show up and fight for yourself. And you've just taught me a lot about being able to come to the table differently. I'm excited to talk about anger in general today, because there are ways that we can come to the table differently. We can learn to transmute this deep shit that's within us. And I'll tell you guys, if you don't do it through yoga, like my friend and my business partner and very wise man, Coach Nick here said, you will do it through, it'll erupt in your life and personal experience, which I'll be honest, I've been because I've grown in my own spirituality and my own ability to see myself, to love myself through my own patterns. I've had some really deep stuff rising since that Scorpio full moon where we did that ceremony, taking the shortest route to your highest
last one
good.
You're talking about, this last full moon. I think that this full moon, I mean, at least for myself, it's like kind of like walking through, someone said to me, it's like walking through Jello right now. And it's been a little bit like that. It's kind of been a little bit like, for me too, like it's been like, ooh, dense, very dense. But finding a good joy in that density.
I like it too, because everything presents the opportunity to learn and to grow. And I've had the opportunity myself to recognize just ways that I haven't been fully supporting my body in terms of food that we eat that allows us to either stay calm or pushes you more towards being overly fiery. And I really appreciate, one, having a practice in my life that helps me transmute it, but also being able to be human and transmute it in, like, falling down to my lower 3D self and transmuting it that way, and having the opportunity to reflect and to recognize and notice patterns. And I'm seeing that this anger, it's coming up everywhere, you guys. It's ancestral. Oh, Simone would love to hear more about types of yoga. Let me turn that back over to you then, my partner and friend, Coach Nick. I know a lot about yoga, but this guy is a pro. Yeah, you don't want to interrupt me now because I'm about to.
Yeah, that's right. Keep going. Yeah.
You know what's coming. For those of you guys who are enjoying hanging out with us right now, who are wanting to create more of this in your life, you want to create more freedom in your life so you can hang out. You can talk with philosophers. I don't know if we're necessarily philosophers. You can hang out with energy healers. You can hang out with yogis. You can figure out how you want to show up in your own business pursuits, marrying your passion and your message. This guy can show you how to do it. I can promise you we are meant to live differently than we are living right now as a collective, meaning the majority of society going and slaving away at work. And anger is one aspect that until you transmute this, you're going to stay in this 3D space, but we can help break you out of it. Coach Nick, thank you for being here with me, being my partner, and teaching us how to break free from the matrix.
You're welcome. I don't know why. I just had this inclination to pick up this microphone and just sing to it. And just
we haven't been together on the screen for a long time. We've probably just missed this place.
I just saw this and I was just like, I just feel like serenading the crowd right now.
Do it.
Hello, everybody. This is Coach Nick, and I want to tell you that I love you. and that you are deeply loved on this International Day of Yoga.
That's good.
Hare Krishna.
All right, tell us about the top 3 kinds of yoga that pop up into your mind right now.
I feel like I'm on like one of those YouTube sessions. Guys, the top 3 types of yoga you can practice right now. Okay, so the ultimate book of yoga is called the Bhagavad Gita. Why it's the ultimate book of yoga? Comes from the Vedas, which is the source of all yoga. So if you want to really know about yoga, then you should go to the source. Wow, maybe that's like a metaphor for all things. But anyways, so if you really want to know about yoga, go to the source of yoga, which is the Vedas. And Vedas just translates into the word knowledge. So in the Bhagavad Gita, 3 types of yogas are talked about. The first type of yoga is called karma yoga. This is what most people are going to start with because that is your life. Karma yoga basically means fruit of actions. Action. So most of us work with action. We have to have some action in our life. This is natural, but we're very attached to the results of that. Karma yoga is when you practice the ability to transform your action. So whatever action, you're a mother, you're a career woman, you're a whatever you do in the world, you do it without attachment. You start to do it for just the action itself, but you start to detach yourself from the fruit of it, meaning the results of that action. This begins to bring equilibrium into your life. The more you come into equilibrium or balance, then naturally the other forms of yoga become easier. Now, the other type of yoga is called dhyana yoga. Dhyana translates, we could just say, into mechanical. This is what we can call Ashtanga yoga, Hatha yoga, pranayama, where you are using breath work. You are using the mechanical body to try to elevate your consciousness or to bring your soul to the top of your head so that you can, when you pass, that you can transmute into that. So the pranayama, physical yoga postures, could fall under the category of dhyana yoga. This is what mainly you see in the Western world. This is what most people, when they think yoga, they think gymnastics, somebody stretching in some tight pants. And, this is, while it's an arm of yoga, it's a very small arm of yoga. But many people think that is what yoga is. And then the final form of yoga is called bhakti yoga. And bhakti means devotion. And this is where you do everything in a consciousness of love. Bhakti yoga could mean love in action. Bhakti is ultimately the way we practice bhakti yoga is the main form is through mantras. So mantra meditation, deity worship. Like, I'll give you an example. So I do bhakti yoga because I am what's known as a Hare Krishna. So I don't know if you guys can see that. We see I have a candle burning in front of 3 deities.
We see that
picture of my spiritual master. See that whole ritual that I did this morning, that's all part of bhakti yoga. So ultimately, that's a very high level explanation. Here's what I suggest to anybody. Where are you at? Just start with that. If you want to start with the physical postures, great. Start with the physical postures. I use the physical postures in my life because it's good to balance the body. It's good for strength. It's good to get rid of some of the energies that are negative in our life and rebalance and open up our energy centers. So ultimately, just for the sake of this show, just start with whatever yoga is available for you and then learn more about it. And if you connect with me, send me a little friend request and send me a message. Say, Nick, I want to know more about yoga. I'd be happy to teach you.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right.
Puppet time.
Well, we had just gotten so in. I thought maybe we could do puppets and news at the end.
Okay, let's do that. We're changing it up.
Well, I want to talk more about how, once we dive into these practices of yoga, how is it going to help us transmute our anger?
Okay.
Because these are basically tools of ascension, right? Tools of transmutation, tools of cleansing.
Yeah.
Tools of aligning our body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah, that's right. The word yoga means to link or union.
Yes.
Right? So we could first think of that, let's just what are we unionizing? Right? For all my left-wing friends, what are we unionizing?
Got any left-wingers out here?
Left wingers, where my left wingers at? Yeah. Okay. So how does yoga as one tool to transforming anger? Okay, so first of all, remember that everything is ultimately energy. Everything is ultimately vibration. So the first thing that I would suggest is don't be afraid of any energy or any vibration. We should try and I use the word try purposefully here because it is an effort, but we should put the best effort forward to live fearlessly. And so therefore, if we're living fearlessly, we don't fear fear itself, and we don't fear negative emotions. When we fear negative emotions or bring resentment towards negative emotions, we are also then bringing resentment we're bringing a negative, it's like bringing fire to fire and expecting the fire to go down. If I bring fire to fire, all I get is more fire. If I bring anger towards anger, I get more anger. So one of the things is at first is, can you just accept, can you at least get to neutral, get to the place where you just accept that anger is part of this experience and that anger is going to happen, and if you can accept that right away, you'll experience less anger. It's funny. Remember, whatever you resist persists. Whatever you accept, you can transform. So I suggest to people that they accept that anger is part of the experience. That's what I often try to do when I'm working with people, is say, look, can you accept that this is in your life right now? If they can go, yes, I can accept it, then right away they'll notice that it has less of a grip on you because you've brought it into acceptance. Acceptance is a higher energy or higher awareness than anger. So just by accepting it, you begin to ease it up. So this is the first thing that you can do. Now, specifically with yoga, the physical yoga postures are great because anger is stored within the body. So when you are doing the physical yoga postures, whether you realize it or not, you are stretching out the body. You're making space, room within the body. The more the body and the nervous system become relaxed, the less anger you're going to have. Right? So you could say that anger is ultimately an agitated nervous system or an energy in the body that needs an expression. So one way to do it is rather than ultimately like just trying to get rid of it or deny it or repress it, which just stores it in the body, let it out in a constructive way. Go for a long walk, go for a run, go hit a punching bag, go, swim. I don't know, do something physical where you actually get that anger out, where you use that fuel. If you wanted to, let's say you had some gas in your car and you wanted to you had regular gas in your car, but you joined the Freedompreneurs Club. So now you're making more money. So now you want to put Supreme gas in your car. You're like, hey, but I want to get rid of the gas that's there. Right? You wouldn't just be like, oh, well, this sucks, I should throw the whole car out no. Well, how would you get rid of the gas? You'd use it. You would use it in a way. Maybe you'd go on a long drive and you'd burn that gas up. And then when that gas is burned up, you would fill the new tank with Supreme gas, which would give you a different experience. Similarly, I suggest that people use that anger in a constructive way. The great example is Hanuman, the monkey god. For those who don't know, the Hindu god Hanuman was a great devotee of Lord Rama. When Lord Rama's wife Sita was captured, taken away from Lord Rama, and Hanuman became so filled with anger, so filled with rage, that he used that anger to actually fight the war. He was a great warrior, and he would do mystical feats because the anger actually fueled him. The key is to use it in a positive way. You see, if you let the anger control you, you're going to make some dumb decisions. You're going to do some things that later on you'll probably regret, and then you'll have to go through this whole other healing process, and it's like this whole big ordeal. But if anger arises in you and you can stay aware of that anger or unattached, so you can accept it and go, okay, there's anger in me. It is what it is. I'm at where I'm at. Then you can say, well, what's the best way for me to use this anger? I know for me, often, get on the yoga mat, go for a long walk, or take a nap. Sometimes that's cool too.
Yeah, that can actually help reset really powerfully too. I like that. I really love the hike though, or getting out in nature,
Yeah.
I use slightly different language. I definitely recognize the truth of how we can use that. I let people know, and for myself too, you better use it or release it, whichever word you want to put on it, pretty quickly, because holding that within your body can destroy weeks, months, years worth of positive work that you've done on yourself. And I'm talking about really powerful, the kind of egregious anger that I'm finding surfacing in myself and people that I'm working with, because it's ancestral. Yes, it's tied to our own personal experience here on the planet, but it's also ancestral. And it's from my perspective, it's part of what light workers are incarnating to experience and to shift these violent tendencies, to shift these energies on the planet. But yes, we do it all within ourselves. Even though there is this bigger mission, we are fighting for the greater good as we are transforming ourselves. The work all has to be done on yourself. And holding that energy frequency of anger will screw up a lot of powerful work that you have done. Once you get to a certain truthful place of loving yourself, you will not hold that. You will find what Coach Nick is saying. You will find a way to use it, to channel it, to release it. What I see when Coach Nick says use it, I like to use the vocabulary release it, because I like to let it go. But I'm going to allow myself to use that terminology, use the anger. And here's pieces that begin to make sense to me. How many of you guys hung out for the breath retreat, the finding your flow state that we did about a month ago? Hopefully you began to learn a little bit more about breath practice and how breath can break up the density of the body, of the mind, of the emotions. And hiking does the same thing. It's like you can either purposefully do that to your breath, or hiking is a twofold power punch, because you're in the physical energy of nature, which will reset your aura, your vibrational field. But you're also like, once you get huffing and puffing and pounding, guys, you get the breath going. What happens is the breath begins to rise up. When you breathe shallowly, the breath stays in this lower part of the body. It is subconscious. If you don't get that breath above the heart space, you are going to be acting out subconsciously through your lower 3 chakras, through your fear centers of your root chakra, through your creative and sexual centers of your sacral chakra, through your personal power centers. Who wants to act subconsciously out of those? None of us. Simply by raising the breath and the awareness of pulling that energy up, which that's why exercise is so powerful, because it begins to move that energy up. And as we use that energy, we move it up. We move it up through our chakras. We give it up. It allows for the clarity to come in on understanding ourselves, understanding what we're transmuting, understanding how to use this new understanding in an unattached way. Because again, it all comes back around to how deeply can you go into yourself, find your attachments, and release them.
Yeah.
You have to have a support system within your body, your mind, your physiology. That's why it's so important to develop a yoga practice, to develop an awareness of how your body is storing energy, how when you move it and stretch it and breathe, you can release it from those different places. You can tap on certain aspects of your body and release things. And it's really important to have this awareness. Yeah, go ahead.
No, just to add to what you're saying with that point, is to remember that the body is the mind and the mind is the body, right? So sometimes we think, oh, the mind up here. No, the mind is all of it. And so therefore your body is in itself a mind. And so therefore, when you realize that the body mind is the same, like in yoga, we don't consider the body and the mind different. Right? It's not the body and the mind, it's body mind, right? It's the same, it's actually the same function. So when you realize that, then yoga practice makes total sense of why it helps you release anger. The more relaxed your body is, the more relaxed your mind is. The more relaxed you are, the more you are in a natural state. Mm-hmm. And remember, your natural state is Ananda. Ananda means bliss. Right. So actually, you should be happy in your life. Ultimately, like you, not because you're striving for happiness, because when you get to some destination or something, that's pleasure. You should know the difference between happiness and pleasure. Right. So ultimately, you are naturally happy. look at a baby. A baby is naturally happy, right? Like you don't have to teach the baby, doesn't have to go to the happiness course and get certified in happiness. It just is happy, right? So similarly, we are happy beings. If you are not happy being, then just look at your life and say, well, where am I being unnatural? Am I putting unnatural foods in my body? There's your first, that would be the number one place I would look, right? Especially in this age, especially for those of us who are living in North America, right? That's the first place we got to look is our food. Yeah. Food, right? Food is, we literally become what we eat. So if we're eating a bunch of unnatural things, then we will have unnatural thoughts. Unnatural thoughts would be unhappy thoughts, things that are detrimental.
And that's the Sadhguru says that. Think about that piece of bread. You eat the piece of bread, and within 20 minutes, it is a part of you.
Yeah, and it has a vibration to it, and that vibration will look for some expression, right? So the first thing that you want to look at is your food and what you're consuming. Then you want to look at what you're consuming on the more subtle levels. What am I watching? What am I listening to? Because that's all consumption as well. You're consuming that on the levels. What are you doing?
Tell him to come to the Akashic Academy and listen to it.
I'm not sure. That's why I asked. If you don't know, ask. What are you doing? So she's enticing. I'm inviting him in. Come on.
Did it work or was it weird? I guess it was weird.
I mean, but most of us are hang out here are weird anyway, so it probably worked. It's probably weird and worked. Yeah, weird works. And then look at like just how you're living in general, right? Like, are you spending time, one thing like for myself, I'll just say is, making that effort to spend more time with people. That's a natural thing for us, community, hanging out with people, having good laughs. Like, oftentimes to have a happy life, all we need to do is just get around and laugh. That's why I enjoy some comedians and such like this, right? The ability to laugh, the ability to play. This is all, very natural for us. But we find that with time and, the world's putting pressure on us in all this type of way, we go away from that natural state. And then when we're away from that natural state, we get filled with negative emotions. Negative emotions are just telling us that, hey, we need to pay attention to something here and just pay attention to it and be even lighthearted. Sometimes I find that within the healing world, sometimes we get all like serious about our healing too, right? We're like, I'm going to heal. I got to heal. And I'm always healing. And everybody's like healing. And it's just like, relax, relax, chill. Serenade the microphone. You'll have a much better time. It's telling you it's nice, deep, sexy. And then guess what? Then you feel happier, and then
a lightness of being. Yep.
Yeah, it's a lightness of being. Yeah.
Good
the
stuff.
More that we can chill out, the better we do.
Well, let's end up with a little play here. All right. Let's do a puppet show and let's share a little news with our audience and send them on their way.
Let's do it.
All right.
Are we doing the drum roll or what?
We can drum roll. You ready? I'll drum roll.
All right. Bam! I'm showing Emily again. This is my puppet. Actually, using this puppet for the second time. I used it last week because Emily wasn't around. So I wanted to use it again because I was like, look, Em, because I'm like a little kid that's like, look, mommy, look, I drew a picture of you, mommy. Why aren't you acknowledging me, mommy? Please say how good it is, mommy.
I loved it.
There we go.
How big the smile is on my face.
Woo! My ego is satisfied.
Yes, I contemplated changing my profile picture for the week. I might still
do it.
I can print that out and put it on my refrigerator too. I love it. It's really good.
It is really good.
Thank you for that.
You're very welcome. So that's my puppet. You want me to give you a drum roll?
Yes, I do. I have drum rolled my dear friend and soul sister, Kira Lani. Oh, wait, I'm puppeted. You drum rolled.
You'll get it.
Yeah, well, you did such a great version of me, and I feel a little remedial with how I portrayed Kira.
I'm sure she forgives you.
I hope she does, because Kira is my soul sister. I love you. I forgot to go grab the comments. I'm sorry that you talked about last week, But Kira had some really deep comments about just unraveling and explaining emotions and how they show up and how we can work with them. Kira is a host here at the Akashic Academy network of Qigong. And Kira and I have a little summer trip, very special summer trip planned together. So just wanted to honor my soul sister, tell her I love her. Let's talk about a little news here. Speaking of Kiralani too, Kiralani has also studied with me and learning to read the Akashic Records. But today I have 2 graduate students that I want to honor. I'm actually going to show off their certificates.
Nice. I wish I had a little graduation hat. You know, one of those, I don't know what they call it. Those hats that look like this.
Yeah. I wish you had one too.
Clearly, I've never graduated, so don't even know what the hat is.
Well, I don't know the name of it either. But do you know Pomp and Circumstance?
Pomp and what?
Circumstance? That's the like the hymn that you march into when you're graduating. I was wondering if you could hum that into the mic for me.
How do you do it?
I can't remember it in the moment.
I don't know what it is, but I can do graduation.
That's the only one that's coming to mind, but I don't know that that's really it.
I don't know. That's it. I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't do it. So I can just do this.
Can you do
a graduation? I can do that. I can make up a tune.
Do you know Amazing Grace or something? Do you know any hymns?
No, I can do the Hare Krishna mantra in the background. That's about.
Okay,
that's all fine. I got. Okay, I can do that. All right, I'll do it.
All right.
That's all I got. Okay.
Congratulations,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Recognized as a certified Akashic record.
Hare Rama.
Some amazing.
Hare Rama.
Just like turn it down just a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Was I stealing the limelight? Okay. How about you just talk about the graduates rather than me doing
All right,
that?
that's fine. Stephanie Sifkis is bringing through some really, really powerful healing knowledge, holding space. I know Nick loves that term, holding space. But in order to graduate, my students show up with me. They give me a final Akashic record session. And I find that so much opens and shifts and heals in me. And it's interesting, based on my students' specific skills and attributes, I begin to become almost awakened to their skills. And Stephanie is really, really a very powerful visionary. And I had more visual experiences when she was giving me the reading. And it was very, very profound. I'm very excited to see the work that Stephanie brings out into the world. And the second student I want to honor is Miss Shalane Stratt, who has also completed her coursework as well as all of the practice required to be recognized as a certified Akashic record practitioner. Shalane and I had time to spend together earlier this week, and I can tell you, again, it was incredibly profound. I began to see dynamic shifts in the vision of the future of the Akashic Academy, which makes me very, very excited. Shalane is transformed and healed from some of just we show up with some really deep shit in our lives at times. And I have students right now who are wise and committed to the practice, but are ready to transmute and learn and move deep things in their life. I mean, deep things in their life. And when students show up and dive in with this level of commitment, what we've seen from Shalane, and I say we because the students who move through this process do it as a collective, we do it together. The amount of transformation and expansion that both of these women have brought to the lineage of students who study this particular avenue of learning how to use the records and what it can do for you has just been very phenomenal. We have another slew of students who are about to graduate. So I'm excited to share a little more about the personal stories like I've been able to share about Shalane and Stephanie as the weeks go on. Because like I said, we got a big graduating class come through. For those of you guys who are excited to dive in and learn more about this process, reach out to me. This is a life transformational experience, and I would be happy to jump on a call with you and share more about exactly how we conduct this powerful energy and even give you an experience feeling what it's like to move into this space where you can experience that level of self-love and transformation. Also, I want to invite you to check out what's going on inside the Akashic Academy, our membership program all month long. It's not only Coach Nick and I now. It's Sifu Boggy too. So we have 14 exclusive workshops and trainings all month long. In June, we are studying alchemy. Alchemy is how you transition that old stuff in your life. It is changing from base metals into gold. Think of this symbolically and spiritually in our life, how we cleanse. And we use this, right? We use these old base metals, this aspect of how we've shown up, how we've experienced life. And you learn how to turn it into the beautiful life that's been planted in your vision, that you know you're here to live. That baseline resonance of happiness that Coach Nick talked about, this is yours, but it requires a retraining of yourself, and it requires a community and a support. We are giving that to you for $44.44 a month, unless you sign up while we still have a very special program running, where you can sign up for your first month, $4.44. I left that link for you guys in the comments. You can click that link, follow along. It's going to take you through a video tour of the Akashic Academy. Sacred 4 is the code that you enter to get that great promotional deal, $4.44. Lovely Angel coming up at noon Pacific here on the Akashic Network. Coach Nick, I'll let you take us out.
Hey guys, just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Always give it a like, give it a heart, share this video out, and join us in the Academy. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.